adrenaline is incredibly addictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's more addictive than any drug that we've invented. So, and we forget that, oh, well, I can just let go of adrenaline. Well, actually, it's a whole project to shift to a new fuel source.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Katie. How are you?
Hello. So I always so enjoy seeing you. You know, when I see your face, my breath expands and I have this sense of, we get to play and toss and be together. And the richness of that for me is something I so look forward to every week.
Mm. It's funny that you started right away with this breath, because when I first moved here from France, where I was 340 pounds, which, by the way, in Paris means 900 because everybody's so skinny. But when I first came to visit my brother at Stanford, I was maybe 18 or something. The description when people ask me, like, why did you decide to move? And it was that, like, my breath, I was just like, oh, that is what breathing feels like. Like I had this, like, wow, like I feel like I'd never taken a breath in my French life. Right.
Well, I think, that's just such a profound statement. I just want to take a moment to just take that in, that I think is so particularly true for women. And because of the way that we're supposed to dress ourselves, which doesn't, up until very recently, doesn't leave any room to breathe, corsets and now these spandexy things that are supposed to give you room to breathe. But to me, they just look like they're making us into little sausages. But the effect for me is that I really don't feel like I have room to stretch out into myself. And that sense of if I can't breathe, I can't really be myself. Mm-hmm. And so being in a place where you can breathe, to me also has so much to do with, am I moving at the pace of my breath? Am I interacting at the pace of my breath? Whose pace am I moving at in life? And I got obsessed with it over this weekend because I was facilitating a gathering of people I've known, for some of them for a very long time. And what I noticed, one of the things I noticed was people would say, well, I just have a quick question. And I would say, where did that come from? You're like,
I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'm going to run.
Yeah, I'm going to run I'll be right back. And in that sense of, not only can I not breathe, but there's this sense of this flurry, and I kind of forget what I'm thinking about, or, I get unpresent in that moment. But it goes with what I have also heard from so many people of, they'll come up to me and they'll say, I know you're really busy. It's like,
who says who and why?
And sometimes I've said, well, gosh, how do you know that? Because I'm not experiencing that. So I'm wondering, are you picking up on something that I'm not picking up on? But the whole sense of, so we're, be, play, love, which even when I say it, everything kind of gets more leisurely and like spreading out into what's possible. But with I know you're busy, has this sense of I'm not really even landing. I'm just going to go on to the next thing. And I had this kind of awareness the other day that the main purpose of the culture is to convince us that we're not in the right place and not in the right time. It's out here. It's the next thing. And so this whole speed up. And I was just looking up today because I'm so interested in this. And there are a number of books now that have just come out talking about our accelerator culture. Like everything is accelerating and getting faster. And like even like the G5 is about going faster. So for years and years and years, we're going faster. This whole sense of, we've got to just keep speeding up and speeding up. What disappears for me is any sense of connection. I can't connect to myself because I'm out ahead of myself. I think that's the main thing that I experience. And with people, they're not really tuning in to me. They're tuning into what we're going to do together that's over here. It's not right here. It's over there. And when I had that realization, I thought, oh, that's what's making so many of us so anxious.
Yeah.
Is because we're speeding up, but what's the purpose? It's basically to go faster, So we spend all of this money with cars going faster, technology going faster, but it was like, and the benefit? What is actually the benefit of going faster? Whereas for me, when I'm spreading out into space, so there's this Einsteinian concept of when you're in time, there's no space. But when you're in space, time really disappears. And he used the illustration of when you put your hand on a hot stove, that you're in time. But when you're with your beloved, time just disappears. And I think we can each create that for ourselves by finding a pace that allows us to be here and to connect.
I'm kind of wanting to, not argue, I'm coming along entirely, but I kind of feel like maybe the why of going faster is from people that want us to buy their stuff. And because if I'm going so fast, I disconnect from myself and I don't realize that I don't need this extra car, sweater, fill in the blank. And so it is very deliberate.
You're absolutely exactly on point, because the purpose, what I get is that you, just the way you are not all right.
Yes. Yeah.
Hear the unexpected of a helicopter sounds outside, but here we are. And if I'm not all right, maybe if I speed up and I get this thing, it's going to make me all right. It's going to satisfy that place in me that's hungry. And I think it's hungry for a thing or a treat, but I think it's really hungry for presence and connection, both with myself and with others. But if I ever slow down, one of the things that's happened for me since the pandemic is that I'm not shopping as much. Whereas shopping used to be, and especially clothes, because as you may be able to tell, I love fabric and colors and design and how things feel and making a creation out of all that. But I realized when I was meeting with my friends, they had all gone out shopping, and I haven't gone shopping like here in Ojai in a year. And I realized there's that whole track that's gone. And what's replaced that is this,
I'm okay.
I'm okay. I'm okay right here with just what's happening. And to me, that was a little miracle that I didn't actually realize until I had the contrast of people who were in going faster. And so that was very striking to me.
It reminds me of when my daughter moved to New York to go to her university, and I went, and some of the hours were left to do whatever I wanted because she was in class or she was shopping or whatever for school. And I found myself on the street of New York, just walking. I'm just going. And because everybody else is going. And at some point I had exactly that moment of like, where am I going? Because I'm not going. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm just enjoying. But there was almost like the culture, if you were to extract, this energy of New York in this moment, it was just the outside force was like, go.
Yes, the culture, go and go and go. And I first experienced that in a really visceral way when I was learning to drive, because I learned here to drive here in California.
Oh.
And in Southern California, like if you've never driven in LA, you have no idea about what going means. And people are just going, and millions of people are just going and going. They're always going. Everybody's going. And I've had this thought so many times, but where are you going? Where
are they all going?
And to me, it's kind of an extension of what used to be the Sunday drive. Back in the day when people were not going. So on the Sunday drive would be a leisurely, let's just go out and be together, and we'll go out into the countryside. Maybe we'll have a picnic, so it's a very different, going for a drive now is how many things can I get in before the next thing that's going to make things different for me. And so I've become really kind of obsessed with, am I actually, when I'm with somebody, are we in the same pace?
Are we? Yeah.
Have we landed that we're in the same space with each other? And then what I do is to do my best to open a space in me that invites, let's be together. And also it's so different what emerges from being than what emerges from doing, because very often when we're doing, it's like, am I doing better than they are? Or am I, am I not as good as, or am I creating something worthwhile? And how would I know? Because I'm so going, that I'm not really even giving any sense of landing and enjoying and the nurturing of connecting.
The last few of my birthdays, I've planned nothing on purpose. And the goal is to wake up and truly be, what do I want to do next? And what do I want to do next? And literally just give myself this absolute open field of a Sunday drive. And on this last one, I had this, it hit me pretty strong, actually. I realized, why is my life not always like that? Like, why is that a birthday rhythm where it could be, why don't I have a life where it's like, what is next and what is next, but not from a place of speed, but from a place of true internal, what does this want? What does it want? Right?
Yeah. The bubbling up. And what I see you doing is gesturing to your body and gesturing. And so for me, it's a completely different rhythm. What's begun to, it's emerging. So the impulse comes up from inside me rather than me reacting to these pressures and trying to keep up with and what's coming from the outside.
I remember being in a store, which I won't name because this is not about that, but I remember walking in and it was very dark. There was no light. It was very loud. The music was super, super loud. And then they had this perfume that was their brand, obviously, sprayed through the whole thing. So even my sense of smell was, taken hostage.
It sounds like.
Exactly, attacked. And I could see, so somehow I was able to hold on to myself a little bit long enough. I could see that people were like putting stuff in their basket, this sweater, that hat, because of that. I mean, there's speed, but there's also nervous system being hoarded by someone else, being taken from us. Yeah.
It was reminding me, what you were just saying was reminding me of, they used to have these contests where you could see how many groceries you could get in a minute. There'd be a contest and you have your basket and you go and just
like, go.
Stuff in. Mm-hmm. And the sense of stuff, if I have enough stuff, that somehow that's going to make a difference in how I experience myself. Yeah. It's going to sort of make me happier or, more content. And my sense is that it has everything to do with our adrenaline addiction.
Yeah.
Of just going so fast. And we were just watching parts of, there's a documentary on Netflix right now on Beckham and the soccer player, and his relationship. But one of the things they were touching on is the impact of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And living in that much adrenaline and the addiction of that and what happens when you don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, that's a big picture of it. Mm-hmm. But I think each of us have that opportunity to either be in an adrenaline fueling, which is getting faster and faster and, and more accelerated, or spreading out actually into space and the experience of moving along, of connecting, the rhythm of talking to each other, the rhythms of hearing nature outside. Those kinds of rhythms are so different than go, 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 do.
There's something about when I do let myself have the adrenaline thing, when I catch that I'm trapped in that a little bit. It's almost like I feel more alive in a fake way, like the way sugar gives you energy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, it's not energy, dude. It's just like you're out of your system is exploding, But in this particular thing, that this idea that people, like, if I was to live in that store with the perfume and the noise and da, I would want to be dead. I would have to shut down because I don't want to feel all that. It's like, why are you attacking me? Right. So I would shut down. Yeah. And in that shutdown, I no longer feel alive. And therefore I need the adrenaline. It is a totally
vicious circle.
Yes.
And the other terrible thing is that adrenaline doesn't last very long.
Yes.
You get that spike, but then it has a very short half-life. And so then you have that, or
and you want another one.
You want another one. No, you want more than another one. You want 2 or 3 or 4.
How is that different than heroin? How is that different than drugs?
It is a drug. I mean, that's what, in fact, adrenaline is the most powerful drug on the planet. And scientists have been trying to invent something that's as powerful as adrenaline and haven't been successful yet. But, we manufacture adrenaline, but to the imbalancing of all of the other hormones that allow us to connect, allow us to create, allow us to nurture each other and to feel each other. So it's like we have one note, like if you were to only be able to have Hershey bars as nourishment, that's it. And that's what a lot of people are living on is, one Hershey bar after another, and then fighting over the Hershey bars to, make sure they're going to have a stock of them.
Exactly.
Even when I'm talking about it, I'm getting into
You're feeling it, of course.
So I'm going to move around a little bit.
One of the things I've loved about these conversations you and I are having is then what do we do? Because it is an addiction. There is no rehab center that I know of that's for adrenaline junkies. I mean, not officially anyway. So do you think that's partly why people go to like a meditation week? Because they're trying to like shut off that.
Yes. Well, I think that's one of the avenues because we don't realize that we're using adrenaline as that fuel source continuously.
Yeah.
And so when people get depleted, there are all kinds of suggestions, but but a lot of them are just kind of substitutes for adrenaline, like the watch that tells you how much sleep you're getting. Or to me, if I had that, it would just adrenalize me even more because I'd be anxious about whether I have gotten enough of my REM sleep or I didn't get the deep sleep. Or so we are using technology from the outside instead of asking our bodies, what would you like right now? What would be most nourishing for you? Would it be a walk or listening to some music, or there's a particular kind of food that would just, fill that place that I'm trying to fill with some kind of, some kind of impulsivity.
Yeah.
And we don't have much training in that. And I think that part of what we're up to is sharing what it actually is to be with.
Mm-hmm.
To be with like, something's going on. What's going on? And there's a certain turning toward ourselves. And when I do that, I can feel myself. I mean, other people might see me slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing is actually opening my breath, letting my breath allow me to settle, and then finding the impulse and what speed does that impulse want to take? Because sometimes it is very quick, but it has a sense of flow rather than jaggediness.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that jaggediness can have a sense of, oh boy, now we're really in it. Yeah, now we're really, boy, yeah, and that's adrenaline.
I don't drink coffee, like I don't do caffeine or tea. And so when I have conversations with people about it, they'll say something along the lines of like, well, what do you do when you're tired?
Right.
I will say this really weird thing. I rest. That's what I do when I'm tired. Like I don't fakely give my body a sense that we have energy we don't have. It's like I'm lying to my body, right? Like I'm telling it, no,
That's
it's fine.
it's so
Push.
valuable what you're saying, because I just was realizing that resting is brand new for me over the last several years.
Yeah.
I didn't rest. I was like an Energizer bunny. I could just go, wind myself, and I just would go until I literally would almost fall over.
Yeah.
And I think as a gift of the pandemic, that I began to notice there was just a kind of going over a hill.
Yeah.
And I would start to kind of go downhill, and I could feel it in my body. And I would go rest.
Yeah.
And discovering resting has been probably the most valuable discovery of the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was that I didn't need a long clock time for resting. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, really kind of 20 minutes max. And then I'm refreshed. And I have to think, am I refreshed? I would feel, that kind of uprising, bubbling. Oh, now I'd like to, rather than, I've got to go and do. And I think that's part of what drives the adrenaline, is that people don't want to do, a lot of things that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so they push themselves through, like, I'll do this, and then I'll speed through this, and then I'll go do something like, go out dancing madly and, and drink a lot to feed that adrenaline spike.
Last time I was talking to Gay, your adorable husband, he said something in passing that I was like, that is the most profound thing I've ever heard, as he does.
He does that.
He does that. He said, there's never enough time to do the stuff we don't want to do.
Oh, I know I love that. That's kind of like a label on and I've said that to some people, and they just kind of, almost faint, because they really get it. There's never enough time to do what you don't want to do. And so for me, it's also that checking in with, is this something that I really am wanting to do? And so it's really informed my choices, and particularly the things that I say no to, which is I think it's another skill that takes us out of that speediness. If I'm able to actually say no, because there's FOMO, I'm going to miss out on something. Everybody else is doing this, so I'm going to do it too. But my body's saying, no, I don't want to do that. But if I override that, then I'm
you're in the cycle. Then now you need the coffee to get up to go, and you need the adrenaline to feel alive, and you need the thing. So it's almost like there's a treadmill that's under some people, and it's going faster and faster and faster. And I think what we're suggesting in closing, I'd love for us to talk a little bit about how, but the visual I had when you were talking was like, get off the treadmill for a minute, just get off and just look at this thing and how it's going, and how when you're not on it, you don't feel the need to be on it. It's just because you're on it, you're doing it, because otherwise you're going to fall. Well,
and also you are getting the adrenaline hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing I think people don't realize is that adrenaline is incredibly addictive. It's more addictive than any drug that we've invented. So, and we forget that, I can just let go of adrenaline. Well, actually, it's a whole project to shift to a new fuel source. And I think that's part of what I think we're playing with and experimenting and offering to people, is that presence, being together, being with, being on the ride that you're on is just incredibly enjoyable if you let yourself be fully there. So the other thing about speed, I think the main thing is I'm not really here. I'm already out ahead of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, one of the hows is actually landing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do a simple thing of just feeling my feet and kind of doing a little body scan of, oh, and here I am in my body. And then that leads me to, oh, gosh, I hadn't taken a big full breath in several minutes. Oh, that feels great.
Mm-hmm.
So when I take a big full breath, and then my body wants to wiggle a little bit, and so I'm loosening sort of the adrenaline. I'm getting off the treadmill, even for a moment. And I've developed a practice that I'd love we can share with people.
Please.
On the we can put it on the podcast so people can link to it, which is called Essence Pace. And basically, Essence Pace is moving at a speed that allows you to be aware of you and aware of others.
Mm.
And you play with speeding up and slowing down, and speeding up and slowing down. So like you're like a record that you're playing faster and playing slower. And then until you find that pace or that range of pace where you can go, oh, I'm noticing me, and I'm noticing, and I'm noticing how beautiful that flower is, and I'm noticing me. And that's something I think has disappeared in our society, is being able to notice me and notice you, notice where I am, notice what people might be engaged in, and noticing how I can participate with that. And so playing with Essence Pace, I've had people tell me that it's changed their lives.
I can see that.
Because it helps us to make decisions that actually benefit us, including like, do I want to do this or not? Mm-hmm. Do I want to go here right now or not? Or, oh, it's time to take a rest. Or, oh, I really want to engage in that. Oh, and I'm going to take a rest first. And then I'm going to. So we get off the treadmill and become more organically attuned to the impulses to engage and the impulses to rest.
I want to share this. I feel like adrenaline has its place when, say, there's a lion running after me. I want to tap into this thing that's like, I have to.
Well, see, the thing that's great about that is that you don't have to tap in. That's wired in.
It will be there.
In fact, that's what adrenaline is for. It's for the tigers.
Exactly. And so somehow what I see in people is that they somehow stayed there. Like the lion is no longer running after them, but somehow it continues to operate. And I think the way you describe this Essence Pace, I want to play with that. This feels really like where do I stay? Where do I stay with myself while I'm in with you?
Yes. And so it makes it possible, because we really, I think most people think I can either pay attention out here or inside here, but I can't do both. And I found that absolutely you can do both. And it has to do with finding your own, and I call it Essence Pace because it supports you being who you are and connecting from who you are. And that makes just a huge contribution, not just to you, but everywhere you show up, just like you do. People can osmose with you and go, oh, that feels great. I'd like a little bit of that. And then we start connecting and dancing together in a new way.
Oh, delicious. People, you heard it here first. Just Essence Pace this week and tell us how that went. We'll have a link we'll definitely have a link in the show notes. Thank you. It's just being with you. It's funny because as you were saying Essence Pace, your face was just like this sweet smile and it just made me melt. It was delicious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.